Welcome to Beat Diabetes, where we look at ways and means to overcome the monster that has attacked your body and your health. On today's program, we'll be looking at why a simple strategy to reverse diabetes works so much better than many of the complicated strategies put forth by so many health professionals. In a few short weeks, our ministry will be conducting our Fall 2020 mission in the nations of Kenya and Nigeria. Now, you may wonder how we can do that in this year where we're all being forced to limit travel and avoid groups. The answer is that we're going to be doing our ministry by proxy. Over the years, Benedict and I have made many friends in Africa, and we're going to be doing this mission through the hands of our friends. Even though Ben and I won't be traveling to Africa ourselves, we plan to send money over to Nigeria and Kenya, where we'll be providing a food distribution day in 4 cities to 2 of the poorest groups in Africa, the widows and the orphans. We also plan to distribute Gospels of John along with the food so these people can learn about Jesus Christ, who is the Savior of the world. If God has kept you safe throughout this dangerous and difficult year and has blessed you, consider contributing toward the poor of Africa as an expression of thanksgiving to Him. If you'd like to help us cover our budget for this mission, click on the link in the description below for Mission Kenya and Nigeria 2020. Okay. Here's an individual who says it might be a good idea if you would mention the importance of keeping a diabetic journal. I write down everything I eat, meter readings before and after meals, weight loss, etc. I'm impressed. And I think it is a good idea. Now, again, I have to admit, I don't do that. There have been times where I maybe wrote down a few things, but some things stand out to me so strong, I don't need to write it down. Like when I would eat bananas, and every time they raised my blood sugar way too high, it didn't take me long. I'm not that stupid that I could figure out, just stop eating bananas, Dennis. Case solved, mystery is solved. So, I didn't need, a lot of a journal. But the honest truth is, people who are meticulous about their diet, like this person is describing, keeping a journal and writing down their highs and lows and what foods do to them, especially when you're starting out, it's smart. And it's a wise thing to do. I did an article, it was just an article about Raymond Berry, who was a receiver for the Baltimore Colts. And Raymond Berry, when he got to the NFL, he was a good receiver in college. And the main reason he was so good was he had what they call soft hands. He could catch anything thrown to him. He just almost never dropped the ball, and he almost never fumbled. So in that sense, he was an outstanding receiver, but he had one limitation, which is a big deal in the NFL. He just wasn't blazing fast. Now, he was fast by ordinary standards. He'd be a lot faster than me or you, but by NFL standards, he was not fast. He was just, kind of ordinary, especially for a wide receiver. They've got to be the fastest guys out there on the field. And Raymond Berry knew he'd never last in the NFL if he did not get serious about improving his ability to be a wide receiver. And he made notes. He kept a journal. He developed all kinds of fakes, the head fake, the double double reverse, triple reverse, all kinds of fakes and all kinds of moves. And he'd go out after the regular practice and practice by himself. And after a while, he got together with Johnny Unitas. They'd practice together. And he had meticulous handwriting, and he would write down all his moves and record everything, and he became one of the premier wide receivers, even though he wasn't fast. So yes, being meticulous, being careful, keeping a journal can be a very wise thing. And if you can do that, if that goes with your personality, that by all means do it. All right, this person is responding to the video I did about Dr. Jason Fung's the Diabetes Code. I did a kind of a review of his book. And he says, I purchased the book. I found it very informative. I was inspired by the book. I threw out my bread bins, rice, and pasta. Now, for some, that would be radical. He didn't say, I threw out my white bread and kept my whole wheat bread. He didn't say, I threw out my white rice, but I kept my brown rice. He just said, I threw out the rice, I threw out the bread, I threw out the pasta. And he says, what Dr. Fung says and what you say on Beat Diabetes is not what my doctors have been telling me, which is change from white bread to whole wheat, change from white rice to brown rice, avoid fats, avoid eggs, avoid bacon, eat veggies, and if you're going to eat meat, eat it just the size of your palms, just small amounts. Exercise, watch your calories, watch your weight, little teaspoon of sugar is okay. He said all this did not work. Let me underscore. All this did not work. And we've seen this again and again and again. People will tell you, dietitians will tell you, nutritionists will tell you, people who write books will tell you, just cut the fat, eat lots of healthy whole grain breads, lots of healthy brown rice, give up the white rice now, give up the white bread, and eat the healthy whole grain stuff, and you'll be fine. Maybe that works for a few. For most, it doesn't. And for this person, it didn't. For most people, if they think they can solve raging diabetes by turning their white bread into whole wheat bread, turning their white rice into brown rice, and eating bran flakes cereal instead of Cocoa Puffs, if they think that'll be enough, well, all I can say is it's about like someone trying to put out a fire, a forest fire, and they've got their bucket of water and their teaspoon, and they're dipping their teaspoon into the bucket and throwing it at the fire. You look like you're doing something, but the truth is you're doing nothing whatsoever. You will not put out a forest fire with teaspoonfuls of water. And my friend, you're not going to put out raging diabetes at 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 A1C by simply switching from white rice to brown rice. You just won't do it. Go ahead and try. Take Mike the meter and test him and see. But you're not going to do it unless you are one of a few extreme minority folks that can do that. I hardly anybody would. I like things that work. And if you have someone trying to give you advice and you put it into practice, but it just doesn't work, you may say, well, okay, it's not working now, but if I try a little longer, if I work a little harder, I think it will work for me. Well, let me use an illustration. You're just a new golfer. You're a lousy golfer. You slice it to the right. You hook it to the left. You hit it too high. You miss the ball entirely. You need help badly. So you go to a so-called golfing professional and you say, what do I do to become a good golfer, a low handicap golfer? Should I practice more? He says, no, my friend, you don't need to practice. What I want you to do is go home, get into your room, close your door, and just envision yourself making putts and hitting beautiful 300-yard drives. Just imagine it in your mind and envision it constantly. Do that for 30 minutes every day, and you're going to turn out to be a great golfer. But should I practice? No, you don't need to practice. Just put your clubs in the closet and forget them for a while. Just take about 6 months and imagine yourself playing well. Envision in your mind you're sinking every putt. You're hitting every drive down the middle of the fairway. You're hitting the green with every iron shot. Just imagine it, envision it, and you'll get there. So you do it. You get out on the course finally after all this months and months of envisioning and imagining and meditating on you being the greatest golfer in the world, and you hit the ball and it slices way right and another one hooks way left and you miss the ball entirely. You're no better than you were before. You go to the professional and you say, well, I've tried that. It's not working. Oh, you haven't done it long enough. You do it another 6 months. You're just as bad as ever. There has to come a point where you say, this just flat out isn't working. But if you never went out to play golf, in other words, tested your theory, you wouldn't know whether it's working or not. You got to get out on the golf course and try it and then see if it's working. And, you may hear some wonderful theories about how to beat diabetes, but they just flat don't work. And the way you test it is not to go play golf, but to get your blood sugar meter out and have your A1Cs done every 3 months and see what's going on. If you drop down immediately into the 5s, then good, it's working. And stay with it by all means. But if you don't, and you're just as bad as ever, There has to come a point where you say, I've just got to do something else. So that's what this guy is saying. They told me just switch from brown to white and from white to brown rather, and I did. It did not work. But now he has found that he gets results. He says, I immediately embraced a new low-carb diet, intermittent fasting. He says the results were immediately positive. Not the results, over a year's time got better. He says they were immediately positive, and the numbers came tumbling down. Sounds like that Walls of Jericho song we used to sing in Sunday school. The walls came tumbling down. He says the numbers came tumbling down quickly because low carb, high fat, moderate protein, flat out works. My friend, it works. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe Jason Fung. You don't have to believe Dr. Sten Ekberg and all the other doctors are saying that. Dr. Eric Berg and there's a Nick Zurkowski, I think, just a number of them. You don't have to believe any of us. Just take Mike the Meter and test yourself and see what happens. Give yourself a chance and see what happens. Okay, here's an individual who watched the video where my wife Benedicta and I went to a Chinese restaurant. Excuse me. This was the teriyaki test. We went to a mall. We got some teriyaki. And one day we ate it with rice. And then the next day we took away the rice and we ate it with vegetables, low-carb vegetables. And, of course, the teriyaki over the rice was yielded a much higher glucose spike than the teriyaki over the low-carb vegetables. So he says, okay, I enjoy most of your videos, but let's see here. You had 2 meals, each on 2 different days. In the first one, you consumed 40 to 75% of the carbs, which was the rice portion. The next day, you had the same meal, but you removed the carbs and substituted veggies. I think I have that right. Would you expect any other result than better blood sugar reading? Did I miss something? A little bit of sarcasm there, but he puts it mildly and with a sense of humor. But no, my friend, you didn't miss anything, And I know that some of you people that know keto backwards and forwards are going to look at a simple test like that, teriyaki over rice versus teriyaki over vegetables, and you're going to say, well, duh, of course you're going to get better glucose readings. Yeah, of course you would. So I wasn't enlightening some of you people that know keto and know glucose. But, my channel is not really for keto professionals. Some of you are so hardcore keto. I mean, you watch not only my channel, you watch all kinds of videos, you read all kinds of books. You've been doing keto for years. You know this in and out. So naturally, you wouldn't expect any other results than that. But my channel is really aimed at people that don't know too much, people that just came home from the doctors and they are scared to death and they're needing some help. And for them to watch us do a simple little video, teriyaki over rice versus teriyaki over vegetables, and see how much difference it makes, a light bulb is going to come on over their head. And they're going to say, aha, maybe they'll even go out and try that test themselves, and they'll find out it's going to work most likely the same for them. So it's for their sakes we do stuff like that. And yeah, I know it gets kind of simple. But I see our diabetes channel as really 2 purposes. Number one, as I mentioned, it's for people that are newly diagnosed. They're scared to death. They don't know what to do. They don't have much knowledge. And for them, that is enlightenment, just to see the difference that 2 different kind of meals like that make. And the other is for those who are just wanting to maintain. They need some encouragement, because sometimes you can know the right stuff to do, but you find yourself slipping by the wayside. You just find yourself falling away. Your problem is not a lack of knowledge. You know all you need to know. But sometimes you get weak. And you get weak and you slip up and you backslide and you fall into the old ways, and you need a guy like me, a simple guy like me, an old Texas fella, even though I don't talk with a Texas accent because I'm from Missouri, but you need a guy like me to tell you, stay the course. You can do this. Stay with it. Don't let go. Don't fall back. Stay with it. Hang in there. And so I think that's the other part of what I do. But for you professional keto people that, read books by the dozens on keto and you know it so well, there's not much my channel can really do. You're doing about as much as you can do for yourself metabolically. If you still have problems, you need to have a doctor test you and see if your pancreas is producing any insulin at all. So, yeah, we are, I will plead guilty. We are a simple diabetes YouTube channel. We're not complicated, and I'm not a complicated guy. If you saw my lifestyle and Benedicta's, we are simple people that love God and want to help people. So that, what you see is what you get. That's about all we can give. And if it helps you, great. If it doesn't, well, there's all kinds of other YouTube channels that you can watch that will be more complicated, and quote more studies, and so forth. All right, well, that's about it for now. God bless. I hope you enjoyed this. If so, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so and click that bell icon so you'll be notified every time we post a new video. See you again soon.